This podcast is brought to you by On Track Studio. Did someone order a slice of Big Brand Energy? Because that is what I'm serving today. Welcome back, you loyal mother effing audience you. I'm so happy to be back on Big Brand Energy. I'm going to give you a whole update on where I've been and what you can expect now that I'm actually recording and publishing regularly again. And yeah, I'm going to get into that this episode. But the main reason for this episode is actually to talk you through what I'm going to be doing business-wise and marketing-wise in 2025. And I'm going to be giving you a little bit of advice because I've actually been working with so many businesses this year, holistically, not just on their podcast. And I have just learnt so much, or at least when I reflect, I'm like, okay, wow, I'm having these realizations. And I just think at this time of year, it is so good to just sort of have this kind of content in your ears to be like, wow, that is an interesting way to look at that. That's what I'm going to carry into 2025, or that's something I'm going to completely ignore from Sophie because I disagree with her, whatever it looks like. But before I get into like the episode, I actually have a massive announcement. I have decided to completely pivot my business. Instead of being a podcast agency, I am now a marketing agency. Funnily enough, this is gonna not really change a lot on the inside of the business. It's more so how I'm going to be perceived on the outside, because I have been working with businesses on their general marketing, you know, all year and on and off project basis my whole career. But the reason for this pivot is because I have really recognized that my passion is like, I'm not passionate about podcasts. I'm passionate about podcasts being a driver in business. So I'm passionate about high leverage activity that you can do as a founder or as a marketing manager that is actually going to get you results. And I've just sort of within this year I've been working with so many different businesses on their marketing and realized that, you know, you don't want a podcast for the sake of it. You don't want an extra freaking admin task. What you want is business growth, sales, lead generation. And when you don't execute your marketing, I guess, system is what I refer to it as, holistically, and you just have bits of fragmented strategy, it doesn't actually work. And I don't really want to have a business where the results aren't being achieved because bits and pieces aren't being actually executed. So my service offering is for service businesses primarily, because that's where my experience lies. I'm going to be working with them on actually improving their bottom line, getting sales and generating leads from their marketing. And it will include a podcast because that's the most effective use of everyone's time and money. And yeah, so that's my pivot in terms of my business. And I've got to share with you, like, after this year working more, again, I feel like, you know, I've matured since I used to be a marketing manager back in my heyday. And so I feel like my analysis of situations is just a lot better. But what I've really noticed is like so many service-based businesses are weapons at the ones I work with are just weapons at what they do. So their service offering is like chef's kiss, but their marketing isn't there. And it's not usually people are like, I just need to work out what my strategy is, who's my target audience, and kind of stay up in the clouds. And it's actually keeping them, you know, kind of small and keeping them distracted on strategy instead of actually just executing. Because most of the time you've got a pretty good idea of how you need to show up. Like, you know, you need to post online. You know, you probably need an email marketing funnel or automation set up to nurture people that opt into your freebies into sale. Like, you know, all these things that you need, but your art or your expertise or your preference is to not actually do them. So instead of focusing on, this is my biggest piece of advice that I'm just going to, like, I have learned and have seen benefit my clients so much, is instead of focusing on what you should do, build a system that does it for you. Like, you do not want to be writing emails. Well, you know, pick what you don't want to do, but like, you don't want to be writing emails, creating posts in Canva, scripting out content, filming it, editing it, getting it live, all these things. You don't want to be doing that. You want to be like actually in service for your clients, or being a badass CEO overseeing whatever level you're at. So I just think in the first thing I'm going to say is in 2025, I'm not going to be focused on strategy for my own business. I know what to do. I'm going to post and I'm going to have my lead magnets in order. I'm going to have my email set up, and I'm just going to be focusing on like ensuring that system is running without me having to be doing the hard work. So that's number one. And from my perspective of helping other businesses that I've been working with this year, that has been the biggest reflection. Is if I actually have a look at what they've actually executed, it's got nothing to do with doing it perfectly, but what it has got to do with is consistently. And I know we've all heard consistency is key before, but how many of us are still playing in the whole, oh, it's not perfect, I'm not going to send it live. So that's one thing that I cannot speak more highly of. The other thing that I wanted to speak about is it's so common for business owners to know what they're saying, but not put it into language that's like appropriate for your audience. And there's no shame in wanting to reach business objectives like high cash months or, getting your clients on retainers. But it's important to remember that if you want to put your client on a retainer, or if you want to charge more for your service, you don't say, well, I'm at this point in business where I just want to charge more as your launch to your audience, because your audience is just going to sit there being like, okay, you're charging more because you think you're worth it, which is cool for you, but I don't want to pay you just because you've got an inflated ego, is sort of like what they're thinking. So instead, if you've got goals for next year to be like, you know what, I really do want to charge more, I suggest that you ask yourself, what's a bigger problem I can solve for my client? So if you make websites for clients and you want to start charging more, what could you throw into that service that would really help your client? So for example, you might chuck in extra designs for their social media. And then therefore the value perception for your client is like, I'm not only getting a website, but I'm getting social media assets. They're like, yes, how good. And that's the kind of approach you go down, not just being like, oh, like I've been in business for ages, I'm sick of, being charging out really low rate and rah, 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 which is so valid and true. But just be conscious of the fact that you can't just charge more because you can, but it's not going to attract super good clients that are like seeing your worth. Whereas if you did this approach, it definitely would have a better effect, in my opinion. So I just want to flag that. I don't know why. I'm just having a lot of conversations with my clients behind the scenes being like, they're saying to me, they want to charge more. And I'm like, absolutely, let's do that. But let's actually align the service to be more valuable and lead from there to get that, extra income in. So thought I'd share that with you. So I'm just having a little sip of coffee. Now I'd like to segue into something I just really want to talk about, which is like people's definition of marketing needs to be looked at, because we all know we need to post more. We all know we need to build a system to attract clients. But I feel like we've got to remember that the point of marketing is impact, first and foremost. That's my opinion. So we want to be like positively impacting the world at large. But then second to that, the business objective associated with marketing is to actually bring in more clients, bring in more income, to have more of a wealthy, lifestyle. And what I see a lot is often businesses think that posting on social media is marketing, and it's actually not. So the point of marketing is to acquire new clients. So within your marketing, you want to be having a client acquisition system. And this is not as simple as sharing, on social media. Building your personal brand is one element of a marketing strategy, but is, in my opinion, not the most important. And in 2025, the approach that I'm going to be doing is really delivering a lot of value, as I always try and do, on, all of my platforms, YouTube, podcasts, social media, and make sure that I'm the face of that, sharing my personality along the way and allowing the personal brand to just naturally build, rather than fixating on, building my personal brand as a strategy itself. Because I'll tell you what, behind closed doors, I'm having a lot of conversations with colleagues, friends, clients, and the return on investment for building your personal brand by posting on social media is not there. What we've got to remember is the strategic point of building a personal brand is not sales. It's actually more so to be remembered And it allows our audience to build a preference towards us because they'll connect on something a little bit more deeper. But the real reason people invest in any business, especially service-based businesses, is because they desire the outcome that your service can provide. So what you've got to be doing, rather than focusing solely on building a personal brand, is actually showcasing what it is that your service does, like what transformation does it actually elicit, and closing the knowledge gap. Because more often than not, service-based businesses have their whole marketing strategy should lie in actually closing the knowledge gap of like why their service is so important to their ideal client. Because when you're not in the industry, you might not understand what's so important about having a bloody podcast. I completely understand that. So it's up to me to educate like-minded humans of like why it's beneficial. And that actually goes for literally any service business. I made a lot of content on this actually that's really going to help you. And it's I always talk about like marketing to your ideal client's symptoms as opposed to their problem, because it's really, people don't know what their problem is. It's your service's role to actually identify what the problem is. Like when you go to a doctor, if you're that way inclined, or an naturopath, you go because you're experiencing some sort of symptom. And then they tell you what medicine is required. And that's how you got to think about your business. And that's definitely what my approach will be in 2025. All right, so now a bit of quick fire focuses for me in 2025. I'm going to be batch recording literally every single piece of content and scheduling it out. I don't know if anyone out there actually does that for their own business, but I have never, ever, ever, ever done that in my whole 4 years, I think. Over 4 years of running On Track Studio for my own business, yet it's the first place I begin with my clients, which, yeah, it feels so freeing to just like own that, get content, film it, edit it, schedule it. So that way, instead of being like stressing about the fact I haven't posted in 7 months, I have built a system that's just doing it for me, and then we can just enjoy the audience growth, enjoy the leads coming in, and just go from there. The next thing I'm going to be doing in 2025 is actually going to more networking events. I traditionally hate networking, and I don't blame myself for that. But what I have decided is you can do it like in a kind of like classy way. You don't have to go to cringy, hey, this is my business, yeah, like refer marketing kind of like pressured situations. You can actually just go to more events with like-minded people who have similar businesses as you, or different businesses. And I'm really going to like prioritize that, because from my experience this year, the things I have said yes to, workshop days with other businesses and founders, and going to like one event I went to was done by Female Founder World. And I thought, not sure it'd be my thing. Like I'm not really like women in business inclined. Like I don't like that kind of thing. I went and learned so much, you know, and the person who was speaking there was a product-based business, and she owned a product-based business, and I just took away so much from it. And you wouldn't think that you would be able to take so much from a business that's not either in your industry or even like similar. Like I would always like to listen to service-based business owners who are successful as opposed to product, but I was proved wrong that, yeah, I just got so much value from it. And it's just making things like a little bit more fun, really, isn't it? Because it's just like get out there and meet people. And yeah, that's what I'll be focusing on. What's my other one? Oh my God, I forgot to tell you guys as well. You might have seen on Instagram, but I have been writing a book. I've literally written a book. It's called Dominate Your Industry, and it's literally for service-based businesses who are interested in building a marketing system that like allows you to dominate your industry. And I wrote it because I know that I can't personally service every single business. And the results that I get from my clients using the system that I've created is just so effective. And I really want to share this system with anyone who's interested in, I guess like what I'm saying, because I know that I can't service everyone. So that should be live by the time this episode goes live. It'll be available in the show notes. It's only $4.99 to purchase. And yeah, if that interests you, definitely have a look at that. Which brings me to my next thing that I'm focusing on in 2025, which is just simplification. Literally all of my content is going to be taken from my book, or I guess it's going to be taken from my book, for at least for the first 3 months. It's so easy. Like, I'm just like, cool, I've written a book. I'm just going to treat that like a script or talking points for my podcast, use that in YouTube, you know, and just allow it to just generate, you know, whatever attention it requires. And then after 3 months, I'm just going to assess like what worked, what didn't, because I really feel like a lot of, in the past, like I just would stay in the concept of an idea or concept of a marketing approach and not actually implement it, and then be like, by the time I go to implement it, I'm already on the next idea. So instead of doing that, I'm now going to just keep it simple, just use what I've got, explain that, allow it to be content, allow it to attract whoever it's going to attract, and then assess it from there, like get data and then use that to inform my next decision as opposed to just like, you know, just being all conceptual. So yeah, that's pretty much all I'm focusing on. Thank you for listening. I really am excited to be back in your ears. You can expect weekly episodes from here on out, which is bloody exciting for you and for me. I've got amazing guest episodes and also really straight to the punch, short, solid episodes. Because I personally just love consuming that kind of content. So yeah, don't be a stranger. Hit me up on DMs or comment below if you enjoyed this episode or have anything to say at all. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.